Madhuri Charanam, Jayanandalala. Today's topic is extraordinary. I think it's something we all will, it will resonate with all of us. Everything is justified. Everything is fair. Nothing is unfair. This is the topic. Today is a world where we pinpoint fingers and we say that is not fair. This is not fair. This should not have happened. That should not have happened. In that world, or any world, any yugam, everything is fair. Nothing has gone past his calculations. And that is where this topic is today. Why we shouldn't judge anyone, why things happen the way they do, and it's always a backstory. For everything, there's a source and there's a backstory where it all started. And no one is spared. Nobody is spared if they are wrong. Every mistake is counted. Even if it's a silly mistake, it's counted. And they have accounts taken down. And there is a payback time. It's a beautiful story from our Puranas, depicting this and answering all of our questions. Most of our questions will be answered by the end of this session. You all will be clear. We go back to the Mahabharata. And this is the time when Yudhishthira arranges a Rajasuya Yagna. He wants to announce and tell people that he wants peace, and this is done by successful kings. And this was way before the war, or way before even the gambling game where he lost everything to Shaguni and group. This was way before. Now, the Rajasuya Yagna was concluded, and they were supposed to worship and praise one individual who they thought was greatest. And they praised Lord Krishna and to be the greatest among all the guests over there. And this made one guest who attended the yagam, the event, very upset and angry. That was Shishupala, king. He was the king of Chedis, and he did not like it. And he insulted Lord Krishna, called him names. And the Lord had to put an end to it. He released his chakram and cut off his head. This is, I said it in a very brief way, but we will go in detail, step by step. Now, some of the guests over there, once this happened, right, the Lord Krishna released his chakram, cut his head off, and some of the guests there, including Narada, Bhishma, Sahadeva, Yudhishthira, saw Shishupala's life soul released from the body. It's a big glowing light released from the body and went straight to the feet of the Lord Krishna, and disappeared. The soul got moksha, mukti. After everything was done, Yudhishthira was very confused. He approached Narada Muni, who was also one of the attendees of the homam that day. He approached Narada Muni and he asked him, Paramaguru, I was amazed at the sight. How Shishupala's soul went straight and reached the Lord's feet. People who have been bhaktas for years, they have not been able to reach the Lord's feet. But this sinner, he only spoke rotten things about him. And after he was killed by the Lord himself, why? Please, Munivar, I want to know what is going on here that I don't know. Please enlighten me, he says. I'm confused. Narada Muni smiled and he says, Yudhishthira, your question is justified. You want to know why a man who was verbally abusing the Lord himself and hating Krishna for all his life get a space at his feet. Very justified. First of all, let me start with this. Narada says, insult, praise, honor, or dishonor are all associated with the human body. Man is entrapped in all these feelings. It is this feeling of I, mine, the ego. That is what makes the man think that he is praised or he's insulted. And that is the same feeling that makes the man take revenge for being insulted. But Yudhishthira, this is the Lord we're talking about. He is beyond all this. He is beyond all these feelings. You call them insults. But for him, he doesn't think of it as insults. Insults or praise, he'll take both with love. He is not affected by these insults, and that is not why he killed Shishupala. Nor if Shishupala praised him, he is going to get a place in Vaikuntham. Continuous hatred, continuous bhakti, continuous affection, or constant desire for the Lord, all these look the same for him. He saves all these people. All paths lead to him, Yudhishthira. Shishupala comes under the hatred category. So he found a space in the Lord's feet. Yudhishthira is still confused. He's like, Munivar, I need more explanations. Okay, I will tell you. Narada says, one day in Vaikuntham, there are two doorkeepers of Lord Narayana. Their names are Jaya and Vijaya. They both were guarding the door as always. Anybody who enters, they have to take their permission. That one day, there were 4 rishis who walked in to see Lord Narayana. Jaya and Vijaya were there guarding the doors. These 4 rishis were the Sanat Kumar, and they were the sons of Lord Brahma. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, and Sanat Sujata. They 4 were approaching the Vaikuntham doors, and Jaya and Vijaya saw them. They look young. They're like small kutti boys, you know. And that made Jaya and Vijaya obviously make fun of them. They looked harmless. It's like, oh, what are you, little fellows doing here? Now, you can't just see the Lord. Oh, you know who you're talking about, right? No way you can see the Lord and all that. They made fun of them. These 4 of them, they looked at each other and this was never ending. And They got angry. And they never thought these were rishis even. What happens when rishis get angry? They immediately curse. So they said, you have been in the presence of the Lord Narayana himself, and you behave like this. You behave like an ignorant and don't have any passion or love like the Lord has. You don't portray any of his qualities. What is the use of being here? They said. You don't need to be here. We curse you, they said, that you will be born in the world of man. You will be born in the world of man, which is a very big curse, and ruled by Kama, Krodha, Mada. Kama is what? Lust. Krodha is anger. Mada is arrogance. And all other evils. You will be far away from the Lord, and you will insult all good men, they said. They were overcome with so much horror after they heard this. They fell, both of them, Jaya and Vijaya, fell at the Rishi's feet and they started sobbing. They said, please have mercy. Do not do this. Do not say that. Please take it back. Please forgive us. We have sinned. Please take it back, they said. The Rishis felt sorry for them. And they once, it's like an arrow. Once released, it cannot be taken back. That is why you should never play with good men and women, equivalent to rishis. You should never cause harm or say or do things to make them angry or to make them upset. Then they said, we cursed you since we felt you deserved it. But we can modify it, they said to Jaya and Vijaya. Your birth will be such that the Lord will remain in your hearts forever. All the time, he will be there because of your hatred. The two placed their hands in their, covering their ears. ஐயோ இப்படி ஒரு பாவமா? What a sinner are we? Because of our hatred, we can't even imagine hating the Lord. We cannot imagine the Lord we keep in our hearts. We would be hating him. What kind of a curse is this? This is not right. This is, please help us. They started pleading. How can this even be possible? They cried. Lord Narayana appeared at that moment. He could hear all that commotion outside. Obviously, he knows what happened. The rishis offered their namaskarams to him. Jaya and Vijaya fell at his feet, holding his feet tight and sobbing and crying so much that they did abhishekam with their tears. His feet were fully drenched. Lord Narayana looked up at the rishis and he said, welcome. I'm very pleased to see you here. These two have insulted you and they were unaware of your greatness. It is right of you to have cursed them, he said. I approve. I approve of your action. Any fault done by a servant, a sevak, reflects on the master, isn't it? So, I beg you for my forgiveness too. Please pardon me, he says. Now the rishis feel very guilty. because they've made the Lord himself ask for forgiveness. They're like, this is going on in their mind, a guilt. And Lord Narayana says, no one is more dear to me than my bhaktas. And those rishis are also his bhaktas. And when that bhakta is insulted, I get very angry, he says. Let them be born in the world as you have suggested. They will come to me later, he says. The rishis were very ashamed. They were confused if the Lord was indirectly pointing at their faults. Lord Narayana could read. He says, please don't be worried. Don't have any thoughts. I really do approve of the entire incident, he says. The rishis took his, they gave their respects and they left. The Lord then turned to Jaya and Vijaya. You know I can easily take back that curse, don't you? He said. But I won't. You know why? I have to respect a Brahmana's curse. So you both have to be born for 3 yugams. In each yugam, you will be an asura. In one, Krodha will be the reason for your downfall. In the next yugam, Kama will be the cause for your downfall. And the third one, Mada, will be the cause for your downfall. You will be killed only by me. You will finally come back to me after the 3 yugams. And all the 3 yugams, you will be killed by me. You will hate me, but that is also a yoga. You will think of me more than even my bhaktas. The Sambrama Yoga will be your special privilege. And you will be released from this end of Dwapara Yuga. That is the Lord's words. Narada, remember Narada is relating this whole story to Yudhishthira, correct? So Narada continues. The Lord says this, and now we saw that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were killed in the Satya Yugam, and Hiranyaksha was killed by the Varaha avataram of the Lord while he saved the Prakriti earth from Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyakashipu, we all know, was killed by the magnificent Lord Narasimha, the avataram of Lord Vishnu again, just as he promised. He killed Hiranyakashipu. And during Treta Yugam, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Jaya and Vijaya, born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, killed by the avataram of Lord Vishnu, Lord Rama. During Dwapara Yugam, it's Shishupala and his cousin Dantavakra. Now Dantavakra will follow very soon, says Narada. At that point, only Shishupala had died. So Narada says, now Dantavakra will follow very soon. Now Yudhishthira is fascinated. He's like, his eyes are like, wow, Munivar. And he has a special respect for Shishupala now. All that hatred is gone. It's replaced by respect. Do you see the background story always is important? Now we all know what happened in the Satya Yugam and the Treta Yugam. Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, right? Now we'll come back to where we started this story. We started the story with the Rajasuya Yagna, being performed by Yudhishthira. We'll talk about this in detail. Now that story narration of Narada is over with Yudhishthira. Okay, now back to us. We go back to the first part. Now Yudhishthira arranges a Rajasuya Yagna. All the Rishi Munis, great kings were all invited. Lord Krishna was also there. This is even before, like I said, all this gambling and all this thing happened. All the rishis like Vyasa, okay, and Bharadwaja, Jaimini, and Parashara, and Parashurama, all were there. Bhishmar, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Viduran, Karna, Shaguni, Ashwatthama, name it, Duryodhana, all were there. All the kings of the Bharata Varsha were invited and they all showed up. It's different, you being invited and you showing up. Showing up because Yudhishthira was a noble person, noble king. They all loved him. There's nobody who did not like him. The yagam began and was completed successfully. Even Narada Muni came with the rishis of the heavens, leading all the rishis of the heavens. Narada Muni also came to the function. Now, there is a formality at the end of the yagam where the special person has to be honored. Now, Yudhishthira is a very, he's a person who cannot pick one. He has a problem. He treats everybody the same way. Now, being the eldest, being in the king's spot, he has to pick the special person. He was looking, very uncomfortable. This is a place of embarrassment for him, where he has to choose one person. He feels he's putting down the rest. So he feels he's a very uncomfortable person. Knowing this state of mind, Sahadeva, the wisest of them, he immediately understood the situation his older brother is facing, and he gets up. He stood up and he said, there is only one man here who has to be honored as the most greatest of all men. And he is Krishna, he says. He is not just a man. He is the Lord himself, the avataram of Lord Narayana, who's walking on this earth with this beautiful form for the good of foolish men like us. He is the foundation of everything. He doesn't stop, he goes on. He is the entire universe. Upanishads talk about him, and he is the one worshipped by all the rishis and munis. He creates, protects, and destroys. Who is here equivalent to even close to him? He says. If we honor Krishna, it's like honoring the living and the non-living. Since he is Brahman, he says, all the great men over there who were present over there, they all were happy and agreed to every single word Sahadeva said. Yudhishthira was relieved. Why? That he didn't have to do this job. Sahadeva did it for him, successfully completed, picked the right person. With great joy in his heart, he performed the puja to Lord Krishna, washed his feet. Draupadi being by his side, poured the water from a gold pot, gave him all that respect, washed his feet and took that water, gave tirtham to everyone, sprinkled the water on their head, and his eyes swelled with tears. He was so overwhelmed that he had this opportunity to wash the Lord's feet. Everyone who watched in awe. They all were so happy. And they were watching with folded arms. Suddenly a loud voice Enough of this nonsense, foolishness, it said. Everyone turned in shock, and they saw Shishupala standing there, the king of Chedi. He was standing with red eyes, angry, and he insulted Yudhishthira. And Krishna, it just flowed like a torrential rain. Never-ending flow of words. He says, so many great men are here, and you say you couldn't find a better person than him? Shishupala said. Narada Muni is here from the heavens. Great rishis, celestial beings are here. And you say he's the foremost great? I'm surprised no one objected to this nonsense, he says. I think the older people get, they lose their thoughts and sense. Everyone here is old. They're all veterans, and I can't believe you all stood by this decision, he says. All these rishis are sinless. They have done tapas for years and years. They have no interest in material objects. And look at him, shining all bright with his silk clothing, crown. Wow. So he is superior to all these rishis here, he says. He's after all a cowherd, born in a prison, brought up by other cowherds. Is he even eligible to be sitting among great people like us? There is not a single quality here in him that Sahadeva spoke of. He's a thief. He steals, he lies. The entire family is known for their drunkenness and stealing. Such a man should not be honored. This is all wrong. I don't approve of this, he says. There was a very strange silence as Shishupala spoke all these insults. No one said a word as everyone was in shock. Lord Krishna was quietly sitting with a slight smile, with his head down, quietly listening to all his insults. Some of the people walked away from the hall. They could not bear to hear it. Some of them had their ears covered with both their hands. They could not hear it. The Pandavas were horrified because they are the hosts. They all reached out for their weapons to punish this man who insulted their dear Lord Krishna. Bhima couldn't bear it. He went and took his gada. He was about to charge at Shishupala when Bhishma held him back from behind. Bhishma, our great Bhishma, held him back. He says, son, it is destined that Shishupala has to die in the hands of Lord Krishna. Only Lord Krishna. And Bhima was, confused. So Bhishma says, when he was born, that is when Shishupala was born, there was a voice from the heavens. It said that he will die in the hands of Lord Krishna only. So immediately his mother ran to Lord Krishna and requested Krishna to spare her son. Whatever insult my son does, please spare him. The mother asked. And Krishna, as always, smiled and said, Mate, I will forgive 100 insults from your son, he says. She was sure that her son would never cross that 100. And she was very happy and she left. Do you see a heap of petals beside Lord Krishna, Bhima? Bhishma says. And Bhima looks and he sees a heap of flowers. That is the same flowers that your brother did Archana for him now. But Krishna used that. He's been dropping them one after the other when Shishupala threw insults at him. Now it has reached 100. Now just watch, wait and watch. It is the end of Shishupala. And Bhima stops. As soon as he says that, Krishna gets up. He had a smile. Now there is no smile. All that softness and gentleness is gone, wiped off his face. And he looks and glares at Shishupala. That glare was enough. Shishupala saw that and he rushed towards him with his sword to attack Lord Krishna. Krishna immediately took his chakram and released it. That was the end of Shishupala. His head was cut off, separated from his body. There was a big roar and his body fell to the ground. And the munis, the great munis, whoever were present there, the rishis and all the rest of the folks saw. The rest of them saw this light from Shishupala, this glow of light, go and reach the Lord's feet. One of the doorkeepers, Jaya, has gone back home to Vaikuntham. Now, after this incident, Dandavakra is remaining. Dandavakra soon learned of his brother's ruthless encounter with Lord Krishna and wanted to take revenge. Not knowing the power of Lord Krishna, he went to Dwaraka all by himself. He approached Krishna alone. The fight didn't last too long. Lord just swung his hand hard at his chest and he fell down dead. Now both Jaya and Vijaya reunited, have reached Vaikuntham as the Lord promised. What a journey. What a journey. 3 yugams of hatred. Only hatred. So much hatred. Just let that sink in. But why all this, you may ask? Why all this? பாவம் அவ பாட்டுக்கு டோர் கீப்பரா இருந்தா அவளை போய் அனுப்பிச்சு. Why? Huh? Poor doorkeepers were doing their job. They were just being there. Why? Why the Lord? The Lord is the one who made Jaya and Vijaya make fun of the brothers, the rishis. The Lord is the one who made the rishi curse them. The rishi themselves were confused. Why is that? And such a big curse for 3 yugams. 3 yugams, 3 different characters. The evilness, the evil that was so evil that there is no end to it, like that, right? Hiranyakashipu and all that was like, they all thought they were very smart, beyond anybody. Especially the boons they asked were like covering all the loopholes. They thought they measured everything and they got everything under control. That kind of evil. Through all these asuras, their blunders, their bad choices, their foolishness, their hatred, their arrogance, their hunger for power, always, right? It's always hunger for power. And the hunger to beat the devas, their hatred towards the Lord himself, their unlimited desires for power again, their lust for women, their ego as high as the Mount Meru, their selfishness, their nature of performing rituals only to attain glory and power. What did they receive in the end? Nothing. They received nothing in the end. They received a very negative name in the history book. Even today we read about them. Their stories are being told. Their experiences are lessons for us to learn how not to be, which is why it's been given to us so that we don't repeat it. One thing we have to understand, we are not Jaya or Vijaya. Jaya and Vijaya was sent here to teach us lessons. The Lord sent his most dearest of the dear to become the most negative of the negative. He has enacted this whole thing for us. It should not go for waste. We have to learn from it. This was not done just because of some entertainment. This was done so that the future generations learn from this, watch this, and learn what not to do. We are a mere soul. If we repeat this mistake, we're not getting anywhere. We are not going to go and reach moksha. They were chosen for this. Just like we saw the 9 Mars were chosen for a reason, for a journey, for an experience, and for us to learn from that experience. These two doorkeepers were chosen to be asuras and to teach us how not to be. Easily we put our finger out and say, that was an asura. He was bad. Remember, they were the dear ones of the Lord. They were so dear to him. They were his sevaks, servants, who saw him every day, 24/7. Because of that, we have beautiful avatarams of the Lord. Because of Jaya and Vijaya. Because of the Lord's whole grace, we have the Lord, magnificent Lord Narasimha, Varaha Avatar, Lord Rama, and Lord Krishna. See how beautifully all this has been already laid out. And when we go back and we look at it, Ravana is not bad anymore. Hiranyakashipu is not bad anymore. Shishupala is not bad anymore. They were all here for a reason, to teach us a lesson. We don't judge anymore. So the whole point of us judging another soul has to stop. Everyone on this earth is put for a reason, for a cause that you and I may not know. There is a backstory for everything. So easy to pinpoint a finger and judge. My teacher used to tell me, when you pinpoint finger, I mean, it's very common. A lot of us use it. But when I was young, she would tell us all, our class, she would say, when you pinpoint a finger, all the three other fingers are pointing towards you, she would say. So never pinpoint fingers at others. And that's so true. No excuse. We have no excuse for throwing insults at anyone. If you don't like them, stay away. You don't approve of them, stay away. But never, ever stand there and throw insults at anyone. If they happen to be close to the Lord, then you are going to be caught in a big whirlpool that you can never get out of. And that whirlpool is called karma. Why distance ourselves from the Lord even? Through Jaya and Vijaya, we got that example. That episode was planned by the Lord himself. Now, ours is to learn from that plan, not repeat it. And we are not Jaya or Vijaya. We are not entitled. We have to be responsible. We have stories from our Puranas that state and tell us what, how to behave, what not to do, how to respect our elders, never to speak negative, gossip. All this is not okay. We have to be on guard. When we throw insults at another person, we never know that that person may be a devotee of Lord Vishnu or Lord Ganesha or Lord Shiva or Ambal. Can you even imagine what would happen if that force reacts to that? Why get into this mess? Gulp it all in. Gulp all the insults in. I really enjoyed speaking about this, how the whole thing comes together and gives us this beautiful package. So much to take from it, learn from it. How the Lord was in their hearts, just like Narada said to Yudhishthira. All of them were thinking about the Lord the whole time, right? Narada was a big devotee of, Ravana was a big devotee of Lord Shiva. But you know what? He thought about Lord Rama more than Lord Shiva. I had to put that in. He thought of Rama more than Lord Shiva. Though he got that name from the Lord, the Padavi, the position from the Lord himself. Lord Shiva gave him, "You're my biggest devotee." Uh-huh. Not quiet. Because after that, Lord Rama took the position. Lord Rama was in his heart the whole time. Hanuman may have had Lord Rama in his heart, but if if at all anybody would have torn his Ravana's heart, he would have seen Lord Rama. That is how much Lord Rama was in Ravana's thoughts every day, every single minute, every time. Unbelievable how this hatred for the Lord can get you also a space in his feet. Unbelievable. Same with Hiranyakashipu. அவனுக்குன்னு ஒரு son Prahalada. So Prahalada, there was a reminder from Prahalada about Narayana always, in case Hiranyakashipu did forget. Prahalada was like, Lord Narayana, Lord Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. So there was no way Hiranyakashipu can forget Lord Narayana. So that was another thing. The whole time Hiranyakashipu had Narayana in his mind, though he was also a bhakta of Lord Shiva. I mean, all asuras are bhaktas of Lord Shiva. Like I said, there was the Lord does not, obviously, the Lord also knows who they are, right? I mean, this is like a backstory is known to all through Murtis, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. That's why they never got stressed. Only the other devas got stressed because they had no idea what's going on. These three don't really reveal anything out. So the backstory was known. So it played out pretty well. So Lord Shiva was always there for them. And but they had Lord Vishnu here in their hearts without their knowledge. And it's unbelievable, all these stories. When you read these stories now, you will read them with a different mindset. It will not be like you're seeing Hiranyakashipu with a negative thought now. You will not see him as an asura now. You will see him as a medium. You will see him as a instrument. Am I right? Instrument to teach us something. It's like a movie. You see all these negative characters, but then you say, oh, wow, I loved Rana in that movie. What is that? Bahubali. He was a negative character. I loved Rana. So it's about characters now. You'll be like, I love Hiranyakashipu's role. I loved Ravana. So these characters, they become just an instrument for message. No emotional attachments now, huh? Because now we know the truth. We know the backstory. No one is bad. So with that thought, I take your leave. Thank you. Jai Nandalala Madhuri Charana.